So welcome back everybody to the Tinkerverse. Recently AtomStack reached out to me and asked me if I'd be willing to take a look at one of their newest machines in the lineup. So I have not dealt with AtomStack in the past, but I was really curious because they have a good reputation in the laser world. And I figured, yeah, let's dig into it and see what it's all about. This episode of the Tinkerverse is brought to you by AtomStack and the new Ace Pro V2. AtomStack sent me this machine here. This is their all-new upgraded Ace Pro V2, and it is the 24-watt laser module. You know, it's an open frame style laser, so it does require some assembly, but assembly wasn't too bad. It took me about 45 minutes, I think, start to finish, and that was with me kind of nitpicking as I went through and you know, taking a look at the overall quality of the components, and it was ready to go right off the bat. So everything connected up to Lightburn just fine, and you know, it so far has been a fantastic little machine. So setting the AtomStack up to work with Lightburn is actually very fast and easy. The instruction manual will walk you through a manual process of adding it. However, I went in and I used the Find My Device, and it pulled all the settings exactly like I would expect. So it identified it as a GRBL-based controller. It identified my workspace as 400 millimeters by 400 millimeters, and everything about it just worked. The only setting I changed here during add was to turn off auto home, which is a personal preference based on the diode machines. I don't want it homing when I start up every time. The only other change I really made is I went back into the machine settings and I turned on the blue diode laser when framing. So here real quick, you'll see that I will go in and read from controller. And what that's going to do is it's going to update so that my preview is more accurate on time. This has no bearing on actual burning or cutting performance. It's just used for the preview. But so back in the basic settings, I turn on the enable laser fire button, which enables the laser on when frame, and then set that to 1%, and that's all I need. So now I can do framing with the blue light diode. So I do have a couple of small minor improvement opportunities that I think AtomStack could maybe take into consideration, but you know, as it sits now, you know, it's fast, it's powerful. It's got a 400 millimeter by 400 millimeter working area, and that is true accurate. I tested from 00 to 400 400 and everywhere in between, and yeah, it works in the envelope that they claim it works in, which is fantastic. This machine itself has got what looks like a redesigned Z-axis compared to what I see in the manual. So I think the machine's a little bit ahead of the manual, but that's fine. But what the expectation is they also told me that they will be sending me a powered Z-axis for this machine by the end of the month. So depending on when this video posts, you may or may not see that in this video. I may do a follow-up video showing that, but I'm actually excited for that. Having a powered Z-axis on a laser like this is going to put it in a really nice category all its own. You know, as shown on the control board, there's an autofocus button. So while the focus mechanism on this is actually very good, you know, currently from a manual perspective, it uses a pair of thumb screws, and that is great because it's quick and easy to focus. I can drop that down where I need to, just snug up those thumb screws, and away we go. It takes seconds, but being able to come in here, hit autofocus, and let it do its thing is going to be a game changer for this. Aside from that, you know, it's got all your basic safety features. It does have, you know, tilt alarm to it, where if something were to rock this thing and it starts to fall off your work surface, it'll shut itself down. Everything on the y-axis is nice and tidy through a drag chain here. One of my only minor gripes, is that I wish they would have given a drag chain on the x-axis. So as this goes back and forth, you'll notice that this just kind of flops around. So the potential is there that this could drag your work, your parts. So some way to suspend that out of the way, a drag chain would be ideal. If not, just some sort of mechanism to kind of keep that up and free would be wonderful. Aside from that, I really don't have any major complaints about the machine. It's been great. As you'll see, I've been doing engraving on slate coasters. I've done leatherette, MDF, basswood, birch plywood, stainless steel. I played around with some odd things like little pieces of foam rubber and stuff like that. And you know, with the exception of the known, materials that diode lasers are typically not good at, such as clear and transparent acrylics, certain colors, certain wavelength colors that blue lights don't like to engrave. Aside from the knowns, this thing has chewed up everything I've thrown at it and asked for more. So it's, you know, it's so far been great. Software-wise, it connected directly up to Lightburn. I plugged it into my machine, went into Lightburn, clicked Find My Device. It found it, it connected to it, it set my workspace, and everything was spot on. I only went in and made one small change. I made a change to not, two small changes. I made a change to not auto home. So when I turn the machine on and connect up, it doesn't automatically home, just because I may have physically put that where I want it if I want to use a user origin. Secondly, I changed it so that it enables the blue light on framing. It does have a crosshairs, so you can absolutely use the crosshairs and set your target offset in Lightburn. But I actually happen to like to use the blue diode so I can see a true representation of where I'm going to be working. So by going into Lightburn and enabling the diode on framing at 1%, it actually shows me the blue dot so I can see exactly where I'm going to be working. Those are the only two changes I made. Otherwise, Lightburn has been exactly as it is when I hit Find My Machine, and I've been, you know, engraving. The only other thing that I think I wanted to mention is that the included USB stick. So the included USB does have a materials library of sorts on there. It's not an actual library that you can plug into Lightburn, it's just a PDF. But I did run with some of their settings initially and found that the settings are a little aggressive for a 24 watt. So I think that the settings may have been designed around maybe the previous laser module. So a little bit less power, a little bit maybe less efficient, whatever. But what I found was I could take their settings as a baseline and either speed up the speed or lower the power to get where I needed to go. So some of the settings they had, for example, for cutting, were really aggressive cuts, and they didn't need to be so powerful. So I was able to pull back the power setting. Some of their engraving settings, again, were a little bit dark, so I was able to pull back a little bit on this. So I think this laser head's a little bit more powerful than the original material library that they provide was built around. So just be aware of that use that as maybe a guideline, a starting point, but it's not the Bible. Your mileage is going to vary. Run your tests, run your engraving and your cut tests, because again, from machine to machine, module to module, it's going to vary ever so slightly, focus to focus, and stuff. So, you know, be wise. You know, before you do a job, take a piece of sample material and run a test pattern and make sure that you've got settings that you're going to be happy with. But in the meantime, I did run. You know, I ran I ran a couple pieces of Slate here, and they came out fantastic. LaserGRBL leatherette. That's going to be basswood and birch plywood. So playing with different ditherings, Stuckey versus Jarvis. So, you know, it's been great. I ran it on stainless. It marked stainless with no problems. It gave me some nice variation in coloring there. I've got some blues, some oranges, you know, some darker colors. So it did a really nice job on stainless. And yeah. Okay, so additional accessories, I'd recommend a couple things. So obviously the air pump. The air pump comes in at right around, I think, $89 and is nicely integrated into the laser head. I would also recommend some sort of cutting surface. So I've got just a honeycomb bed here that was left from another laser that I had in service. But they do sell honeycomb beds that'll drop in here. And then I would also recommend some sort of plate, just a metal plate or something to go underneath it to prevent overzealous cuts from doing this to your work surface. So that was before I put anything underneath it, and I had a really out of focus, really powerful cut going on, and you can see that it charred up my table pretty good, which is fine, that's my fault. But definitely a honeycomb bed or some sort of raised bed and a plate to sit underneath it to protect your work surface. So those are also, I would consider, fairly important must-have upgrades. Lastly, I would recommend an enclosure or a protective case around this. So I'm looking at AtomStack's website right now. You know, they're a little bit pricey, but you can get, you know, drop over enclosures that'll close this up and provide laser safe viewports through it, as well as exhaust output. So because it's an open style machine, obviously there's no easy exhaust to duct everything out of here. So, you know, use it in a ventilated area. Don't use it in your house. You know, unless you can put an enclosure and ductwork to vent it out a window or something like that. But, you know, so those are the must-have upgrades that I would consider: air assist, bed, some sort of protective plate, and then ultimately an enclosure to drop over this. So there you have it. That is the AtomStack Ace Pro V2. And this is again, the 20 watt or 24 watt module. If you're looking to purchase one of these machines, I would greatly appreciate it if you would use the link below in the description. I will get a little kickback from AtomStack for any sales that come through my channel, and those will help me to continue to produce content for you. Obviously, you know, my Lightburn tutorial videos, laser review videos, and just, you know, anything in general for this creative space. You know, the kickbacks help me to continue to produce these videos and you know, keep the channel rolling. So I would greatly appreciate, again, if you are looking to purchase one of these, click the link below. It'll take you to their website, and it'll give me a little bit of kickback in return. So be sure to like and subscribe. So subscribe to the Tinkerverse and like this video, and you know, make sure you're set up to be notified whenever I drop new content. So until next time, guys, I'm Carl Fisher. This is the Tinkerverse, and we'll see you later.